Hi guys, and welcome back here to the Dev Realm, and today we carry on our series. In the last episode, all we did here is that we have created this API set master part, and then we have created this master part here that we can work with right now. So in the video of today, we're gonna carry on our series, and we're gonna actually do the line trace. We're gonna actually now every new part that we added, we're gonna make sure that the socket of the new part has the master part as a reference. So let's do this. So we're gonna open up here the BPC modular car, right? And in here we got the place where it allows us to preview and do certain things. So right now we need to know, we need the reference of that socket. So we need to say, we need to get a socket and basically say if that socket has the reference of the master parent. So when we press place the part here, when we confirm the building action, this preview part, we can create like some kind of a method or something that will update all the sockets to the master part. Right, so let's do this. So let's just organize this code a little bit better. So this is, we're gonna actually, I think it's quite clean what it's trying to do here. So I'm not gonna be too much technical at this point. Something like that. Right, so what I'm gonna do here is that from this line, which is the heated actor, which at this point is the socket, because we're specifically saying that if it's a socket to do something else, we're gonna do this. We're gonna get I return socket reference. Remember, this is our interface that we have created. So let me just check if this is working. So I'm gonna put it here. Right now, we should have the name of the socket that we're hitting. As you can see, it hits that, right? This is the same of basically returning the name of the class, but the problem is that this is returning just an actor object reference. We can't use that for anything at the moment, so that's why we need to use the reference here. All right, so what we can do here is that basically we need to make sure that we get the reference of the socket. So let's create it here. Let's call this socket. Let's call maybe placement socket ref. I'm gonna bring this socket inside the building mode here. And now I got a reference of the socket, and then I can carry on doing whatever we are doing here before, which is really good. And when we place it now, what is it here? On the part that we're placing, so we got, you know that we have here API part in placed mode, right? Now in that, we can actually call a method that will set the sockets to the master parent reference. And let's do this. So let's open up this method there. And we have the placed mode. And what we can do here is if I go to our part that we're placing, which in that case we need to change here. I think let's go to our modular here. Let's go just to, I just want to check which one is the part that we're using at the moment, because I have changed this quite a bit. So right now our body is the master class, so we don't want to place stuff on the master class. We want to go here to the car body. We're gonna select that and we're gonna place this here. Just for, I think, for organization at the moment, let's just change this material here so we know that we're placing something differently. So let's check which material we're using that. So maybe let's use, is that? Let's check how does it look. There you go. So yeah, it's just so we know that that part is different. So right now, if I come back in here, I know that the part that I'm placing is different. Yeah, cool. Now what we're gonna do here is if you open up this car body part, we have some methods that we have overridden here in these states, and when we go in preview mode, we have placed mode, and when we have preview mode not allowed, right? So when we place this, we go out our sockets reference. And if you guys remember, we basically now need to pass the part reference to all those sockets in here. So there's a couple of ways you can actually do this. I'm gonna go back to the parent class and I'm just gonna create here an event that will do that for me, right? So I'm gonna do something like that. So basically when we put the, I think which one we can use is the part in preview mode, part in implicit mode. So I'm gonna open up this. I'm gonna create a new parameter in there, and I am gonna call the socket. I'm gonna call placed socket ref, right? And this is gonna be the type of child actor. Actually, let me just double check which one is the type of this now. So right now, let me just make sure that's public. This is the BP base socket object reference. So we can have the same type. So we're gonna call this BP base socket, and this is gonna be the class reference there. Now we're gonna compile and save. Let's go back here to the placed mode and let's add input. It's gonna be the socket ref, right? We're gonna compile and save that. And let me just save all the other stuff here. Right. So now in the master car part, sorry, on the base car part here, we just need to pass this over, the reference down, compile and save. And I think that's it. You don't need to do anything else new at the moment. And now what we're gonna do is that we're gonna go here to our, where is it? Let's just browse to that. The car part, car body, let's open up this part. And in here now, if you notice, we have a new parameter there, right? We can also plug this parameter in here if you want. What I always like to do in this case is just, we're gonna create here a local variable called socket ref. So we don't have to extend this all the way over there. So we can just use this as a reference. So we're gonna do something like this. Just gonna put that here. And we can call this variable just local socket ref, right? And okay. So, well, I think we could probably call this maybe a better variable called external placed socket ref. And the reason I call it external because it comes from outside of this box here, right? Okay, so now we've done this. Now we have to pass that socket reference here. If you guys notice, we already have kind of done that on the base part here. We have this thing where we API set the socket reference. The only problem that is this is expecting us to pass a child actor in here, which we don't really have that. So what we can do here is that, first of all, let's rename this to call socket, and let's go here child mode or something like this. And what we're gonna open up a new, we're gonna create a new variable and call here is child actor, and this is gonna be a boolean. And what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna create a branch, and if basically this is true, then we're gonna carry on doing this, right? If that's true, we do that. Okay. But if this is not true, what we can do here, then we can come back here and call the socket ref. This is gonna be BP base socket. And I think, you know what, let's create two different methods, otherwise this is gonna get too messy. I'm just gonna do Ctrl Z in this. Just to keep it simple, we're gonna just do the same thing here. I know it's copy and paste, but let's just do this. So API set socket master part ref actor, right? And now we're gonna have the socket ref here. The type instead of child actor is gonna be BP base socket. And here I'm gonna copy this master part, which is basically the thing that we have created in the variables there. So we're gonna set this to that, and the master part's gonna be here. Right, so the master part is going to be, it will come here as a reference. Let me just untick this here, compile and save. So all we're doing here is that we basically getting the socket and we're saying set master part reference, which is what we're doing here. And now we need to pass the master part in there, right? So then now this new part will have the reference of the master part, right? So it's kind of a domino effect. Just to explain, here's like it's a domino effect where the first part knows that that part's the master one, but also the last socket of any part at any given moment needs to know which one is the parent, so we can do stuff with it, right? And okay, let's go back to the BPC modular car, and now we have this thing here that we can pass as a reference, right? And we are passing this as a reference. Now we just need to make sure that we create the logic on the car body parts. Let's go to blueprint, car parts, car body. Let's open up here the car body, and in here we go out that part coming back. So now we need to call that logic that we use it. And if you guys remember, let me close everything here and only leave what I need, otherwise it gets too messy. So if you go open up the parent, we have just created this method here called API set socket master part ref actor. So we're gonna compile and save here. We're just gonna come back here. I'm gonna right click and click here, and now it's gonna say basically it's gonna ask us for two things. So let me get here the actor reference, and in here it's gonna ask for the socket. Actually, I just did a mistake here because the socket's the one we want to attach. So don't worry. So what we're gonna do here is just we're gonna get. Actually, do you know what? What we did here is a mistake. We don't need this. We just need to do this, and it's gonna be our life. It's gonna make our life much more easy because the external socket get master part reference, so it knows the master part, so we can plug it in there. And now we already know which one is our socket because we just need to copy this and paste it in here, and that's it. That's all we gotta do. Of course, we need to repeat this 6 times. So let's go ahead in here and do that 6 times. So I'm gonna do something like this. So copy, paste, 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 and paste. And now I'm just gonna go ahead in here and do all those changes in there. Alright guys, yeah, so I just have set everything up here. So all I just did is that I did the first one, copy and paste, and then I'm going and setting up all those reference after this, right? So the way you can actually test if this is working is by going to the event tick here. We're gonna get one of the sockets, we're gonna get child actor, sorry, and then we're gonna return the socket reference. And now we can just do print, and we can get master part reference. Make sure it's valid before we display anything, because when you first start the widget, it's not going to be valid. Only after you play the thing here. You're going to press play here. So now we don't have anything. Just need to press it again because there's a buggy thing there. So let's come in that. And there we go. You see? Hello. So hello now has the master part as a reference. And I think that is what we need. And to make sure that all the other parts are working as well, let's just do something really thing here. Let's select color. Let's do a random boolean. And if it's A, let's say is red. If it's B is like green. Oh, we need to change our opacity here. Right, compile and save. This is for testing, you don't necessarily need to do this. And now we have a bunch of crazy colors coming up, as you guys can see here. Yeah, so our thing here is working perfectly. We now have every children actor has reference of that class, which is fantastic. So what we end up doing here is a very crazy concept in programming, which is called recursive functions. Basically, we kind of create a recursive function here. So the recursive function is basically you trigger the same event on the children. So the children triggers the same event on the parent that calls the children and keeps doing this in a loop, right? So that's what we're doing here. So the parent has all these events. So when we attach the children, let's find the best way to represent this. The children has the reference of those, and then when we attach another children, for example, in that, this will have the reference to that, right? So he always knows the parent. And in this way, we can use that to our advantage to enable physics and do all sorts of stuff in that, right? So I think the next step that we're gonna do here is that we're gonna basically add the type of this part so we can proper start to organize an array of parts. Like we're gonna have body parts, we're gonna have wheel parts, we're gonna have engine parts and things like this, because in the future you could do even something where, I don't know, you have some kind of a health system for every block, and then this block here gets hit and lost his health points or something, so your car breaks and then it starts to fall apart or something crazy. So you can do all that stuff as well. So I know this lesson, specifically those 2 episodes, they'll get very complicated and technical as well. But I think is a good point here, is a good learning point for us to just keep growing in the Unreal Engine here. So I think this is really cool. I think what's coming is really nice. So I hope you guys enjoyed the session and the lessons, right? And thank you very much. And I see you guys in the next one.